What's up, y'all? This is Cancer Cluster Army, North Carolina, on the ground, and Cancer Cluster Mooresville, North Carolina. That is the coal ash contaminated Marshall steam station, where there is somewhere between 20 and 35 million tons of radioactive toxic coal ash. As most of you know, if you've been following, they're moving 16 million tons back from the water onto a liner. They're going to leave 1 million tons there in that active pit. None of the closed coal ash ponds will be cleaned up, and none of the coal ash that they used as dirt will be cleaned up. For example, they used 4 million tons under the solar farm, and they used coal ash to build the roads and under a bunch of the buildings and stuff. And that's what they tended to do at all of their coal ash, of their coal-fired plants, and even their nuclear plants like McGuire down at the bottom of the lake in Huntersville. What you're seeing right there is Highway 150. That runs up through town in Mooresville. The power companies tended to like to stay within a 5-mile radius of their coal-fired plants when using coal ash as dirt, because they start losing money once they take it out further than that. I think we might go try to check out something I haven't seen yet. I was on Google Earth last night, and I was just kind of poking around at what I was out there right near the plant, like the neighborhoods and stuff. And I was really surprised to see that there are homes, a church, an elementary school, all right at, even the library, the Sherrills Ford Branch Library, and I believe there's a sheriff's station up there at the old library. And it's all right there at the edge of the Duke Energy property. I haven't had time yet to go through those records to see if any of it was once Duke Energy on land and maybe developed by them or sold by them or whatever. But regardless, it's quite horrifying to think of children going to school beside that, because that is not STEAM, people. It's not STEAM, okay? We're spending 20 years and $9 billion to attempt to clean up just a little bit of the contamination out there. And they aren't taking it away from there, they're just moving it back from the water onto a liner, and they're going to cover it with dirt and some grass. And Duke Energy only has to monitor that for 50 years. Coal ash is a forever toxin. That means it's going to be just as toxic 1,000 years from now. Okay, there's boron plumes at all of these plants. Even with treatment, they're going to be just as toxic 700 years from now. It says that in their coal ash cleanup records. If you go onto the NDCQ site and look through them, it's tons and tons of papers, but it's in there. It also lists the contamination they found at each site once they went in and did the first independent research. But anyhow, I was looking at this stuff, and I found this really interesting church. I did look at their deed. I believe it's called Mott's. A gentleman named Mott's, he was probably the preacher, I didn't get that far, but he deeded that land in 1906, I believe it was. It was 4 or 6, to the African American people of Sherrills Ford, for it to always be for their use. And I was checking it out, and it almost looks like there's a little village there. They were there long before Duke Energy came along and contaminated that land and their people. So I want to know, and you know what? I bet those people ain't got the $1 million like in these homes up here. I bet they don't have health insurance. So I want to know how many generations over there have been contaminated by Duke Energy's coal ash. How many people going to that church and possibly living there, I don't know yet, have gotten cancers, Alzheimer's, birth defects, There are children with learning disabilities and ADHD and all of the horrible other things that exposure to coal ash can cause. That the top scientists in the world are telling us that it only takes a small amount. Small amount. Last summer, when Duke University tested the topsoil at 20 sites around this plant, they went north and south on the Catawba. They went up to Lake Norman State Park, and they went down as far as like Beatty's Ford Park, and they checked around the Trump Golf Course and that whole area, and every sample downwind had coal ash in it. Okay, so we're being contaminated by so many different levels. It's mind-blowing. It's hard to wrap your brain around, because you got the contaminated plant, right, which it's putting it out into the air. That's what your climate change people go after. They focus on the CO2 sulfur dioxide that comes out of there. So if it's not, they installed scrubbers. Supposedly they're supposed to be catching the bad stuff. So what the hell is that? Excuse me, sorry. So if they're catching it, then they're putting it in the ground, or they're putting it in ponds, or they're selling it to be reused, because there are no federal regulations for the recycling of coal ash. So the NCDEQ has been in charge of the North Carolina Coal Ash Reuse Program since 1987. These people have been using it like candy. And they've had contaminated sites since at least the mid-'80s. That's simple to prove. It's not like they didn't know, so don't even try that. I've done my research. You're not going to get away with that crap on me. I can easily prove they've known for decades and decades. There's an article from the 70s out of Gastonia with the Duke Energy president touting his new nuclear plant they were trying to get approved, and he's saying that, oh, the coal-fired plants are more radioactive than the nuclear plants because of the coal ash, because of the uranium and radium and thorium that is in the coal ash. Anywho, these people have been living out there by it for generations, for over a century now. So I think somebody ought to be checking them out and talking to them. So if the scientists aren't going to go do it with their $100,000 grant and the government paying, then I guess I'm going to go do the job for them. Just like I'm going to get some damn Geiger counters up here and go around all these sites where it was used as dirt. Just like I'm going to figure out how to get the bore samples done. You can pull the wool over some of the people's eyes some of the time, and they've been getting away with it for decades, but you're not pulling it over the mama bears. Because we're coming for you, baby. You ain't gonna kill our kids and just get away with it. I mean, who do you people think you are? Like, seriously. Who do you think you are? And then you think you can turn around and say, oh, it's legal. The NCDEQ said it's okay. Well, guess what? The NCDEQ are idiots. None of those people have been trained in coal ash. Huh. Toxic waste. They don't know what the hell they're talking about. And I'm happy, more than happy, to challenge any of them face to face, be it NCDEQ members, Duke Energy people and CEOs, or the politicians. Bring it on, baby. Because I know what I'm talking about. And guess what? I got the new news for you. Y'all been ignoring us for years while our children die, go through surgeries, get chemo. Politicians up in Mooresville holding coal ash cancer cluster meetings for realtors, really? That I wasn't allowed into. Well, for years, people have known that they sold the coal ash to home builders, but nobody knew who. Because, see, Duke Energy bullied the NCDEQ into not recording a lot of these sites. There are literally records that say it will hurt our sales, our coal ash sales, if you make us force them to record these sales with the deed. It lists sidewalks, parking lots, or anything similar cover. They gave them the right to, in 94, they gave them the right to use coal ash in the construction of new parks. They said, oh, you can't use it in parks and golf courses that already exist, but you can use it in the construction of new ones. That's fine. Well, guess where they were building those parks and golf courses, people? Little company called Crescent Resources. Crescent Resources is Duke Energy's home building arm and has been since 1966. Duke Energy at one time, after bullying everybody into selling their land on the Catawba, had 180,000 acres along the Catawba River, another 100,000 acres in the Piedmont region, and 138,000 acres of land on the Catawba River going down into South Carolina. They formed Crescent Resources to develop this for them. I want to say Crescent officially paid 25% value to take over that land and develop it. But they were partners from 1966 until 2006 when they separated. 3 years later, Crescent Resources went bankrupt. They filed Chapter 11 in 2011. In 2013, they reformed as Crescent Communities, separate from Duke Energy. See, here's the thing. They would have been allowed to use that coal ash as structural fill for where they needed to put it in as dirt. They would have had to record it. And that free resource would have been sitting right there, by where all those homes are that they were constructing. And there's all these shield companies. I have a list of them that went under in 2009 when they filed for bankruptcy. There's like Crescent Concrete up in Huntersville. Several. They partnered with home builders. I got the name of a couple of them. One of them was Irving Land, because they had bought a bunch of the land from them, and then they ended up working with them. I don't want to say the name of the other one until I double check it. But anyhow, us cancer cluster mamas have spent years trying to get help, trying to beg for help. I've begged and begged, please help my son. Help me figure out how to help my son. Please help me warn the people that there are 21 counties with high testicular cancer rates all near the plants. Because y'all already know there are 13 counties with high thyroid cancer rates all beside the plants. So testicular cancer is the #1 killer of men in North Carolina, and nobody knows and no one cares apparently, except those of us who are their family members. There's the brain cancers, Salisbury, Wilmington, I'm sure they're elsewhere. The rare eye cancer in Huntersville. Pretty sure that's caused by the PCBs they were burning from the liquid transformers there at Riverbend, along with the coal. Anyhow, we've been getting attacked for years. I wasn't allowed into their little realtor meeting. Then I was called a liar for saying I tried to get in. We've been mocked. And the crazy thing is it's parents. You think these parents would care? You know, you think we would be, it's bad enough we're facing Duke Energy billionaires, politicians, line EPA and NCDEQ members. Not only that, we got to deal with these lying parents. And these people have power. I have no power, okay? I slept in a damn car while my kid was getting chemo in the middle of March, okay? I have no power other than my voice. These people have $1 million homes, okay? They got kids going to these schools with other kids getting cancer, and yet they don't seem worried. Their schools are literally built beside hundreds of thousands of tons of coal ash, and yet they don't give a shit. I've been mocked, I've been attacked, I've been called a conspiracy theorist, even though I can prove every damn word I'm saying. If I'm theorizing, then I'm gonna tell you that's what I'm doing, okay? I am theorizing that they used coal ash everywhere they needed it on every one of those Crescent Resources properties, baby. So guess what? Trump Golf Course. I know Crescent built them. The Peninsula Golf Course. I got like 25 neighborhoods already, and I've only been researching for a couple days. The Crescent built, along with Duke Energy. Not to mention they own every park along the Catawba River. They're still on the deed for, what is it, Ramsey Creek? They once owned Jetton, Beatty's Ford. Remember? They're allowed to use coal ash. Because the NCDEQ said it was okay. They would have been the ones making the call, since the EPA still does not regulate coal ash recycling. So, let's go up here and see what we can see up on the road beside the plant. Come along, ladies and gentlemen.